Well, hello everyone. As Dong was saying, my name is Desiree. It is super nice to meet you all. I'm so excited to lead the open house today. So you gave me a bit of an introduction, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth given all the time I've dedicated to Model UN in my life. But essentially, I graduated with the Harvard College class of 2024. I had my honors in economics and I did some work in government as well, focusing on public policy. I have my citation in Spanish. I know a bit of Mandarin, and I was really involved. I know none of these acronyms probably mean anything to you guys, but I was involved a lot in the Foreign Policy Initiative at Harvard, the International Relations Council. I did a lot at the Institute of Politics at the Harvard Kennedy School, and I did like Model Congress and a bunch of other basically organizations where I had to do a lot of public speaking, I had to do a lot of policy drafting, and I had to do a lot of learning about the world around me and international relations and the conflicts that are happening and all of those sorts of things. So that's what I really enjoyed and what I really focused on during my time in college and I thought was really fruitful. In terms of Model UN specifically, I used to be head delegate of Harvard's intercollegiate Model UN team. Essentially, that's kind of like the same role as president. I would train the people that were on our team. I led us when we went to competitions. It was a really great experience, and we were placed in the top 10 teams in North America, where we still are today. I helped run the Harvard National Model UN Conference, which is for college students. So if you go to college and you decide that you still like to do Model UN, maybe you'll go to Harvard National Model UN and you'll see someone who is in the same position as me. I've directed twice in Latin America, in China, in India, and also at the Harvard Model United Nations Conference, which is for high school students, which you guys would all have the opportunity to compete in, and which is a bunch of fun. I was the vice president, so the director general for Harvard Dubai, and I did a whole bunch of other stuff, like I said, in politics, international relations, all that sort of stuff. And I've won a lot of awards, so but I hope you feel like you are in capable hands individually and as a team on the collegiate level. And I've directed also where I am right now. I'm actually in New York directing for a Model UN competition, very true to my character. And I've been a coach for the Princeton Learning Experience School for the past 4 years. So I've done a lot of coaching. I really love talking to students. I love helping people improve their public speaking skills, learn how to be better Model UN delegates, better people in general. And that's what I'm passionate about. So here's a couple of photos of me, my team, me with some awards, me traveling with my team to different places. I've been all around the US. I've competed in Canada, had lots of fun doing so. So you might be asking yourself, okay, what is Model UN? And I'm sure Dawn gave a very good explanation earlier, but I'm going to recap it. So Model United Nations essentially is an extracurricular activity in which students typically role play delegates to the United Nations. So you'll get to simulate countries, all different kinds of countries. I've been in countries that are really big. I've like represented the Russian Federation. I've represented China. I've represented the United States, but I've also been in countries that are super small and niche and that I never heard of until I was a Model UN delegate, like Namibia or Zambia or like all these other countries that I've never been to, never heard of. But then I got to be for Model UN, and that was really cool. And this activity typically takes place at a conference that's normally organized by a high school or college Model United Nations team. So at Harvard, we host one for high school students. We also host a big competition for college students. And thousands of middle school, high school, and college students across the country compete in Model UN. So this is a super big activity. It involves a lot of substantial researching, public speaking, debating, writing skills, as well as a lot of critical thinking, teamwork, and leadership abilities. And rather than arguing about really niche topics, I think something that Model UN does super well is it really focuses on coming up to solutions to real life problems and problems that you see today around the world. So you'll always find that when you go to a Model UN conference, there are some committees that if you like really niche topics, they do cater to that. But there's also committees where they tackle big problems that you might see on the news, like human trafficking, climate change, that sort of thing. And those are always really cool. And you get to draft resolutions, strategize and negotiate with supporters and other countries, resolve conflicts, and basically navigate UN rules of procedure, all in order to ensure that you can cooperate with the other countries. So ensuring international cooperation, which I think is really awesome. So some reasons that I think are really cool to kind of join a Model United Nations team and compete in MUN that I've seen the past, many years that I've been in Model UN is, first of all, it's a lot of fun. And I feel like regardless of when I was in high school, middle school, college, it's always important to do an activity you really enjoy. And I think Model UN is one of those activities that people don't think they're going to have so much fun when they do it. They're like, oh, maybe I'm just doing this to have a really good resume line item, which you will, or maybe I'm just doing this to improve my public speaking skills, which you also will do. But you end up having a lot of fun, and many people enjoy this activity so much, and that's why a lot of college students also do Model UN, because when you're in college, it's really less about having a good resume line item or maybe learning those public speaking skills because you also did it in high school. And it really is just, it's an activity you did in high school, you really loved it, you enjoyed it, and you want to keep doing it. And so many, that happens for so many people. So Model UN really is just a fun experience in general, and I really cannot recommend it enough for anyone who might be on the fence and like, oh, I don't really know if this sounds up my alley. I always recommend people at least go to one conference, two conferences. You never know based off one experience, but a couple of conferences, and really see if it's kind of a good activity for you and if it's the right fit for you. You make a bunch of friends from different schools and even countries. And this is something that I think is really amazing that I don't find in a lot of other activities that I did in high school or that I did in college. And that's that Model UN connected me with people around the world. So I have friends now who live in like London, who live in Colombia, who live in Peru, who have always told me that if I ever come and I visit their countries, I'm always welcome to meet with them or to stay with them, or any of those sorts of things, because we're good friends. And I've made a lot of friends from different colleges across the United States, and so it means wherever I go, I typically always run into people I've competed with before or I met somehow on the circuit, and I'm always welcome. And it's a very amazing experience. And I think that's something that for sure you don't really get in high school, where you only interact with the people who are at your high school. One really important thing is that you build really good communication skills. And I think this is something that is essential for every single part of your life. But Model UN really makes sure that you're a good debater, that you know how to speak in public, that you know how to give speeches, that you know how to build friendships and relationships and coordinate, compromise, all of those really good things. It's a lot about communication. And that's kind of the foundation of this activity. Regardless of if you're an introvert or an extrovert, Model UN is challenging for everyone, but I think it improves everybody's skills almost like equally. So I've seen a lot of people who are very introverted, very reserved. They keep to themselves, but they compete in Model UN, and it's taught them how to be really good debaters. So, they don't talk much when you when you speak to them in any other setting, but then you'll see them in Model UN and they just debate, 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 and they have like so many points, and they're always like, going for a specific policy or things like that, and it's just something that you build and you learn, and it's really awesome. I think it's a good skill that everybody should have. And then also, you really just do build a portfolio of experience and skills that can help you in your future educational and career goals. There are so many skills I took from Model UN that have been so helpful to me while I was at Harvard, in terms of learning how to be a leader, in terms of learning how to collaborate with people, use other people's skills effectively, know what I myself am good at, evaluate strengths and weaknesses, really, kind of make important decisions in the span of a short amount of time, really big critical thinking skills. And a lot of this I do attribute to Model UN. And I do think it like really gave me all the skills that I needed to be successful at a top tier college in the United States. And regardless of wherever you end up going, I do think these are all skills that are going to help you in life. And now that I'm out of school and like I have a job, I still find that Model UN is super helpful, and that it has given me a lot of the critical thinking skills and the research skills that I need to be successful at my job. And so it was something they even asked about during my interview. They were like, oh, we saw you were involved in Model UN. Can you tell us about the experience? Because even to employers, it's one of those activities that really does build very important skills that they're interested in. So that's really great. And then also your college applications. Model UN is one of those activities where you can win awards, and you can, even without winning awards, just going to a bunch of conferences really shows that you are I don't know, I really think it does show determination, and that you are like good at speaking, and that you have leadership skills and that sort of thing. And so it is really great for college app like readers to see it on your college application, because just alone, first of all, it's good to be in activities in general, so you should definitely join whatever activities interest you. But Model UN in general is one of those things a lot of my classmates are involved in at the college. So I feel like half the people I meet at Harvard, I ask them what they did in high school, and a lot of them answer Model UN is like among the list of things that they did. So it's a great activity to have on your college application. It really shows that you put yourself out there. It's a difficult activity and you do get rewarded for doing it. And then finally, I talked about, having fun, making friends, that sort of thing, but it's its own community in and of itself. Even if you compete in Model UN, and you meet someone and like you've never seen them before, never talked to them before. Like a lot of the people I met at the college, I never spoken to them before. Just by learning that they had done Model UN and I had done Model UN too was a great talking point between us. And I made a lot of friends by being like, oh, like you used to be involved in Model UN. I also used to be involved in Model UN. And then like you have a connection immediately that you can talk about and a friendship that you can develop. And it's all because you have mutual interests that you used to have in the past, or maybe you currently still have. You're like me, you continue doing it in college because it's fun. So those are all great things. And so, Model UN is great. And what does Model UN really look like at Princeton Learning Experience? What do our classes look like? Our classes are really a space for students to grow and to learn in international relations, public speaking. There's a lot of fun exercises. We do a bunch of simulations. And basically, the goal of this program in general is to prepare students to compete at high level conferences, to potentially, win awards, hopefully, and just to really, build on these skills and become better delegates, better people, better prepared, for future conferences and for the world in general. And so we take students from all different skill levels. I've taught classes where students are at the very beginning of their Model UN journey, have never, given a speech in front of other people before, never been to a conference, none of that. They're very young. And I've taught them kind of from the ground up. I've had classes where you have like really experienced students. So if anybody here has been to a Model UN competition before or who has been to a couple Model UN competitions, we also host classes for more advanced people. And those will be, of course, a bit more challenging, but we hope that students from like all different ranges all different skill ranges can come to our classes and really grow and challenge themselves and feel like, they left the class and they're like, okay, that was a super great use of my time. And I feel like I've become better at what I need to do. So a space for our students to grow and learn in 100%. Experienced staff. So I don't teach all the classes. There's a bunch of wonderful teachers here at PLE who will teach the course, who are all very experienced. I have a lot of friends on the Model UN team who teach for PLE, who have done Model UN for years, won many awards, took over after me once I was finished being president and that sort of thing. And they also teach for PLE. And so no matter who your teacher is, it's always going to be someone with a lot of experience, who's really good at what they do, who's recently been on the circuit and knows exactly what the experience is like to be competing, and who has hosted these conferences that you're going to compete at and know exactly the award criteria that judges are looking for. And so that's always like a really helpful thing. And then finally, just a lot of individualized teaching and feedback. We always give individual report cards for students at the end of class. We always give individual feedback. At the end of every class, I always know all my students by name and face, and I know like so much about them and what their public speaking is like, what their policies look like, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And that's because you spend, like, us as staff spend so much time with the students and really get to get a look at like, okay, what is the student good at, what are they not so good at, and like help them one-on-one. And so I've always had a lot of, especially when you enroll in a class that does like a competition, you'll get one-on-one office hours with the teacher where they'll specifically look at how you've been doing and the different materials that you have prepared and give you personal feedback in order to grow and be ready for the competition. And so that's always really good.